Good evening, commissioners.
Good evening.
Thanks, Allison, for handling that for me.
Sure.
Good evening.
Good evening, Hula King.
Okay, there are two commissioners that are not joining us tonight, so we are waiting for three more people. So we will give it a minute. I'm looking for, I thought I saw Commissioner Cohen's name and I thought I promoted him, but I don't see him here and no longer see his name. So I don't know if he fell off. And I'm waiting for Commissioner Johnson and our newest commissioner is here, so I can add him. Okay, so that's 2, 4, 6. Excuse me. Okay. I texted Commissioner Johnson, have not heard back. So I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. So good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Unfortunately, Commissioner Yates is not joining us this evening, and he normally helps me with the administration of the meeting. So you have to bear with me a little bit as I multitask. Okay, so I have my agenda open and I am ready to go. Okay, so we need to take a roll call. Commissioner Gilligan, can you go ahead and do that, please?
Yes, I will. I'll go through the SMDs just at present. 4B01,
Present.
4B02,
Present.
4B03,
Present.
4B04 is absent as mentioned, 4B05 present, 4B06. Not here, 4B07,
Present.
4B09, 4B08. Sorry, Allison.
Present.
My notes, the way I have my notes. 4B09
Present.
and 4B10.
She's not here.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll move on to our administrative items, which are on the agenda. By now, I'm sure we are all well versed on how to conduct ourselves on a Zoom call, but for those of us that are new to the game, we ask that you use the raise your hand function if you are on your computer, and if you are on your phone, if you would dial *9 before asking a question, that would be greatly appreciated. With that, I will move on to the consideration and approval of the agenda as presented. Does anyone have, well, not as presented, does anyone have any updates, corrections, or changes to the agenda? Okay, with that, we will accept the agenda as presented. The approval of the June 2023 regular public meeting minutes. Did everyone receive the minutes and have an opportunity to review them? For constituents, they are posted on our website, which would make them available to everyone, excuse me. Does anyone have any questions or concerns with regards to June's minutes? Okay, with that, Commissioner Gilligan, as secretary, is there a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
Yep, I move to approve the June 23 regular public meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 That's everyone. Thank you very much. Next on our list is the treasurer's report and approval of the quarterly financial report for the third quarter of the fiscal year. So this agenda item, while it is on the agenda, the reports were not posted to the website. So while we're discussing them, I will display my screen so everyone can see them. Give me 1 second. Okay, can everyone see the report? Okay, Commissioner Smith, would you like to take it? Or would you like for me to just have at it? All right, so this is the third quarter report. As you know, we're on a government fiscal year, so the third quarter would be April, May, and June, which is before Commissioner Smith took over as treasurer and why I am presenting. At the beginning of that quarter, we had $56,998.77. We had interest earned of $117.87. And then we had expenses that were included in our budget, which we presented at the end of last fiscal year. So we had office costs of $100, communication costs of $501.13, and office supplies, equipment, or printing for $211.50. Those disbursements totaled $818.63. That left us with a balance of $56,298.01. The report, once approved, would be signed by myself, the secretary, and the current treasurer, and then submitted to the office of the ANC. Does anyone have any questions about the report? Okay, with that, I believe I can see everyone. Let me stop my share.
Chair Brooks, I just want to note that Commissioner Johnson is now here in the
Okay.
SD list.
Let me stop my share. Let me add her to the meeting. Thank you. Okay, with that, then I will make a motion to approve the third quarter financial report as presented. Is there a second? Thank you. For all those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand so I can see you.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I can hear Tiffany, Commissioner Johnson. Thank you. Your screen just came up. Appreciate it. So that's everyone. Okay, I'll circulate this for signature and then get it over to the OANC in a timely fashion. Next on the agenda would be commissioner updates. Let's start with Commissioner Colson, 4B01.
Hi, everyone. Minor update, just still taking information for people who may still have lines down from the storm that we had maybe a month ago. So if you have anything that still has not been resolved, please let me know. I'm happy to assist with expediting that to make sure that everything is clear. And then also my fellow neighbors who are on the pathway towards Tacoma Station, if you have any concerns about walkability in terms of our neighbors pruning their trees, what have you, please let me know. I'm happy to assist with that as well.
All right, thank you. 4B02.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to very quickly thank Commissioner Zurich Smith for the ice cream social that he hosted the other day, which was quite lovely, and also the entire executive board for participating in the Upper Georgia Avenue Main Street block party this past weekend. We had a lovely time getting out information about the commission and engaging with the local businesses in 4B01. Just wanted to note a few upcoming events. I have my monthly community cleanup this Saturday, September 2nd at 10 a.m. We meet by the Safeway every month, every first Saturday. And along with Commissioners Yates, Smith, Gilligan, and myself, we are hosting a tree walk with DDOT's Urban Forestry Division on Saturday, September 9th at 9 a.m. That will be about a mile-long walk starting from, let me just make sure I get this right, 8th and Peabody, with our urban forestry tree experts to learn about our tree canopy, the species of trees, why they are cut down, where they are planted, all questions related to trees. So please join us if you are able. Thank you.
Okay, before we move on to follow up, I have a urban forestry question. So when you're taking your walk, if you could ask them what they do about trees when the roots exceed the curb. So in my area, I just sent an email today, but you might be able to get a better answer. We have a couple of trees where the roots actually stick out into the street. And so it's damaging the wheels of the cars that park in that area.
Yep, happy to talk about that with them, both with regard to the roadway and sidewalk passage.
Thank you. Okay, so 4B03 would be next.
Good evening. One thing I would like to say is, happy first day of school, back to school for all educators and particularly parents who are happy to have their kids back in school. I thank Commissioner Palmer for inviting me to the summer block party community event over the weekend. Appeared to be a great success. That's all I have.
All right. 4B04. Not here. 4B05.
Hey, everybody. So the cleanup that I host every month in September, I'm not going to be holding it due to personal travel. I will say though, we have collected over 500 pounds of trash this year since I started this in February. I tracked the bags too. I don't have that off the top of my head. And it's been great. I've met a lot of passionate community members and neighbors, and it's been fun most of the time, I'll say. There are some things you find along the way that you don't want to find, but it's worth it because you're picking it up off the streets. And so while not holding in September, I hope that folks in the future will be able to join me at my cleanup and others. Like I'll be at Aaron's cleanup this Saturday. I know many others host these cleanups, and please continue to do so. I love when people do so. And I was going to mention the tree walk, but Aaron already did. The last thing I was going to mention is I know there's a lot of work that's happening and been happening over the summer for all kinds of different projects, DC plug, lead pipe replacement, and other things. As those things happen, if you have issues and challenges or questions or anything, concerns about them, I suggest you contact your commissioner, contact me for 405 area items of concern, and we'll help to resolve those issues. And I think that is all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. 4B06. Commissioner Johnson.
Hi, so 2 or 3 quick updates. The first is the final Summer in the Parks at Fort Slocum will be this Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. We're meeting in the pavilion, so in the 5800 block of Kansas Avenue. This is the final one for the season, so I hope everyone will come out. We've had great turnout thus far. There's balloons, there's different games, there's bubbles, that's a big one. Thank you to Commissioner Gilligan and his family for coming out last Thursday, which was really awesome to have the support. Also, my normal ANC single member district meeting would be during the Labor Day weekend, and unfortunately I will be out of town. So I have rescheduled that for September 11th at 7 p.m. And then lastly, I know that the community still has ongoing concerns regarding the residential parking in and around Cap City. And I am continuing to work with DDOT to push along both the applications for RPP as well as at least 2 applications thus far for reserved disabled parking for my senior and disabled constituents. So I will reach out to those constituents offline, but I just wanted to put that out there in case there are other individuals who have applied that I'm not aware of. If they can let me know, I will assist in that process as well. I just received word today that DDOT is changing the process.
Oh,
Yeah. Who knew? So there's been some delays in their normal process to review those applications, and apparently they're also changing the methodology to approve them. So I'll be getting more information about that, and I'll pass that along.
wonderful. I have a question, a question for you. Do you still have the side of Blair Road where the budget rental car company is, or is that Commissioner Cohen?
That's Cohen, I believe that's Commissioner Cohen.
Okay, Commissioner Cohen, you're up next, but I have a concern about Enterprise and their parking on the street. They're taking
Right.
up the parking along Blair Road for their vehicles.
Thank you.
I can say that has been a concern prior to
Oh, yeah,
the
it's an ongoing.
redistricting, so.
Yeah, yeah.
So great. I'll start off with my update, but I think that enterprise is in Commissioner Huff's
It is,
SMD.
okay,
I believe so. Yeah.
all right.
So just real quick, we had an SMD meeting for 4B07 on August 26th. It was a productive meeting. Thank you for everyone that attended. We were able to have DC Housing Authority to come out and answer some questions, and there's some follow-up that's going to be had probably next week or so. We're planning on having our next SMD meeting in late September. Once I have a date figured out, I will communicate that via internet, newsletter, that sort of thing. I should have another newsletter out the week of September 11th. If you want to sign up for that, you can go to my website, cohen4b07.com. Wednesday office hours will resume starting this week. I took 2 weeks off for the summer break, but that is at Lamond Rec Center from 12 till 1, and then virtual from 1 until 2. And then finally, we are doing a walk around at the Lamond Post Office with the USPS Director of Facilities on August 30th at around noon. So hopefully getting some of the maintenance and grass and mowing and those sorts of issues addressed.
Okay,
And
great.
that's it for me.
I checked the map and I think that one block of Blair is you.
Okay.
Because Commissioner Huff doesn't have any part, any part of Blair Road. So it either has to be you or it has to be Commissioner Johnson, and I'm pretty sure that after redistricting that it's yours. But we could talk about it later. But
Is it south? Is it south of
Oh,
the
don't do that
7-Eleven?
to me. I'm not that north-south person, east
Okay.
west. I don't know.
I'll figure it out and we'll connect.
It's over. Okay, it's over by the animal shelter. How about that? That's
That's
the
not
best.
me. It's not me, but I know what you're talking about.
okay. All
It's not
right.
my-
All right.
I will double check just to confirm, but I thought I lost that in the redistricting.
I thought you did too, but I'm not sure. But I know it's not Commissioner Huff's because her boundaries don't come through your boundaries.
Okay,
So, but needless to say, they're parking again. The issue is that they weren't a welcome part of the community, to be honest. When they took over the bank, residents were concerned that they would overtake parking, and because it's a small footprint. And in fact, that's what they did. And they behaved for a while and now they're not behaving is the ultimate issue. And they're parking the bigger trucks that they rent on the street to make room for the cars on their lot. Okay. So now it's my turn actually, 4B08. So I have a few updates. I'm planning a small meeting for my Northeast residents that live near the 25 Kennedy Street development. We're going to be meeting with the developer, with the homeowners, and with the residents on that block to talk about the project and what it's going to look like. Next, we're going to be planning our neighborhood cleanup for the month of September when it's definitely cooled off. So be on the lookout for news about a cleanup then, which we also coordinate with South Manor Neighborhood Association. So there's some trickery involved there in terms of getting everybody on one day. Next, I'm planning an SMD meeting, which will be towards the middle of September. It sounds like it's going to be either the 9th or the 16th right now. So you should be on the lookout for information from me with regard to that. And if you're not on my mailing list and you are a 4B08 resident, would you please reach out to me at 4B08@anc.dc.gov so that I can add you to the mailing list. My last update leads into my introduction of Commissioner Thompson, and that is with regard to parking on Riggs Road across from the Walmart. There's a construction project, as you know, EYA is going on, and they have used that parking lane in the past, and there will be a need to use it again in the future. And so residents should expect to see some no parking signs coming up on that side of the street in the near future. With that, I will take the opportunity to introduce the community to Commissioner Thompson. He is now newly elected and duly sworn in as the most recent representative for 4B09. Commissioner Thompson?
Yeah, so that's my update, is that the 4B09 has a new commissioner. They can reach me at 4B09@anc.dc.gov. Been listening to all of the introductions, and I have lots of planning to do. So good to be here, and thank you all for the warm welcome.
You're very welcome. Okay, so we will keep the agenda rolling. Let me get back to it actually. So I have it in front of me. Okay, so now it's time for community concerns. So again, I'm going to ask residents that have a comment to use the raise your hand function or dial *9 on their phone. I will be keeping it to 1 minute. And I don't know that the timer is going to pop up on the screen, but I am using the timer on my desktop. So we should be able to keep track of that. Okay. I believe there's several hands up. So let's start with Anne. And I am giving you the opportunity to speak. The floor is yours.
Okay. Hi, good evening, commissioners and residents. My name is Ann Walters, and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for the DC Plug project. So I'm here to just give an update that the civil construction continues on Rock's House in various areas of Northwest, and that's feeder 15009. What I'll do, I'll place in the chat the website where people can go to the website if they have any questions or would like to know a little bit more about DC Plug. There's also a form there they can fill out, and I'll also leave my information in the chat if someone would like to get directly in touch with me, and if they have any questions or comments or concerns about the DC Plug project. Thank you again, commissioners and residents.
I'm sorry, I don't know how I went off screen. Okay, that was 55 seconds or less. Perfect. Commissioner Johnson, I'm gonna promote you as well. Commissioner Johnson?
Okay, all right. Hi, y'all. Good
Hello.
afternoon, everybody. I just have a couple of questions for Aaron and you guys. Aaron, I wanted to ask if you have any ongoing meetings with DPW sanitation regarding trash littering in the alleys. It's been going on forever and a day. And if you don't, could you? And I want to bring this to your attention because I have lately, in the last week, maybe 2.5 weeks, I'm noticing rabbits, little rabbits, joining the ranks with the rats and the mice. I don't know what that's about, and I thought my eyes were deceiving me, but if they're feeding on, goodies left behind by sanitation, that's got to be addressed. And they did it so as recent as today, we had trash pickup. That's the first thing. Secondly, I wanted to follow up on the sister from 4B01 talking about the storm problems. This, I guess, would also go to Aaron, I guess, in your tree walk. I reported a tree that actually was snapped in half on 800 block of Tewksbury during the storm, and they left a stump. They haven't fixed that. They said it was going to get fixed. And the last thing is to thank you guys for your outstanding handling of DDOT in your last meeting, last ANC meeting. I mean, I was speechless. You handled it brilliantly. It's been not pretty with bike lanes. Thank you. That's
Welcome.
it.
All right,
Thanks.
wonderful. I don't see any other hands raised at the moment. So if you're on the phone and you have a question, please dial *9. Oh. Rachel?
Hi, yes, for some reason my camera's not working. Hi, thanks for unmuting me. I just have two questions. First one is, can I just have the date and time again for the tree walk? That's my first question. And then the second one is, I was hoping that perhaps Commissioner Johnson and or Commissioner Cohen could talk a little bit more about the the plans to do the residential parking permit around Cap City, because I know that I wasn't able to attend the last one, but I know that there's a lot of different views on Peabody about that. So could you just talk a little about the status of that and where it would extend to on Peabody?
Sure, one sec. Let's start with the tree walk, and then we'll move to Commissioner Johnson.
Thanks.
Yes, happy to give details on that again. The tree walk is September 9th. That's a Saturday starting at 9 a.m. from 8th and Peabody Streets Northwest.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson.
So the RPP was specifically for residents in the 200 block of Oglethorpe Street and the 5900 block of 2nd Street. The individuals along Peabody Street were not polled because the majority of that street on the residential side is in Commissioner Cohen's single member district. The portion in the 100 block on the residential side, which is in Commissioner Cohen's SMD, is already RPP. The side that is mine did not have much interest, and so that's the reason why it was not included in this initial petition. I'm more than happy to meet with the residents on that particular block if they will want to have a further discussion. That is totally fine. I'm amenable to that.
All right.
So just to be clear, are you saying that after the 200 block of Peabody, it will not be zoned, correct?
Currently, that has not been requested.
Great. No, that's I think that from what I've heard from my neighbors, I think people were concerned that we weren't sure where it was extending to, and
no, it was specifically just for that 2nd Street and Oglethorpe Street.
okay.
And that was based on my initial polling that I did earlier in the year. I think that was May when I did the actual polling.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much for clarifying.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Washington, you are being elevated as we speak.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Can.
Oh, excellent, outstanding. Listen, I just wanted to kind of share, I'm with the Parks Main Street. We are having Art All Night hosted by the Parks Main Street, September 30th. That's a Saturday this year. In previous years, it's been a Friday. Our times have changed. We've kind of recalibrated them for being in a residential area a little better. So we're going from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. In some locations in the Manor Park area, we'll still be at 6 to 10 p.m. And in a few locations in Riggs Park, will be 5 to 10. You'll be able to look at that on our website. I'm going to put some information in the chat. it was great meeting, not meeting, I've met her before, but seeing Commissioner Palmer up at the block party for Upper Georgia Avenue, Main Street. Got there, my wife and I came up there. It was great because I was able to find a face painter for our side at a much better rate. So that was good. But no, it was great to see that, to be there. But we're excited for what we're doing with Art All Night. We're also starting a art activation project with our traffic control boxes. I think some of you are aware that there had been that kind of project that happened in Upper Georgia Avenue, Main Street, but we are working through Lamont Riggs Citizens Association. And with that, so I wanted to at least bring that up to date, but I'll put some information in the chat so folks can know more about Art All Night. Again, it's a Saturday this year, it's September 30th. We're going from 5 to 10 p.m. overall. And then of course this project. So I'll put some information in the chat. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you. If you're not a panelist, you might have to put it in Q&A and then I might have to copy it over.
I'll put it in Q&A then. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, we're going to move to the reports from our elected officials. We'll start with Sophia Tacola from the Mayor's Office on Community Relations and Services.
Hey, Jody.
Hello, can you guys see me?
Yep.
Perfect. Well, one, thank you for having me here. It's nice to see everybody, and congratulations, Commissioner Derrick. It is nice to meet you virtually. I sent you a DM. I need your phone number, but I also now have your email, which is great. I would love to get to know you. Similar to what Commissioner Zurich said, wanted to wish everybody a happy back to school, and then also shouting out ANC 4B. Out of everyone in Ward 4, you guys did the most with making sure our kids were ready for school, whether it was with cleanups or back to schools or ice creams or getting out in the community. So absolutely amazing job. There were so many commissioners that stepped up to the plate, as well as Commissioner Kiddos. So definitely amazing for that. This morning over at Raymond Elementary, we actually also had one of the schools open. It was their 100-year anniversary, and all the kids at Raymond, the first graders they're now fifth graders and they hadn't been to school in that amount of time, which is crazy to think about. They left during COVID and came back to a brand new school. In addition to that, we have our back to school guides, which when I'm done, I'll put the information in. These guides are pretty much like a little Scholastic magazine almost, and they're going to tell you everything you need to know and what your community needs to know to make sure that your kids and your families have a great back to school. And it will also have the different opportunities. So definitely take a look at that. In addition to that, we also have our reminder. I know I've talked to some of the commissioners who are here, but schools, if you have your old Kids Ride Free Pass, you can still use it up to September 30th. All of the schools will be giving them out for free. If you have any issues or anything, please let me know. I've been working with Cornelius from DDOT to make sure that we get them all, but the schools should be giving all of the kids. And then another thing that's been working, I wanted to not to scare anybody, but make sure everybody's aware. This month alone, I've gotten 7 calls about big wasp nests in ANC 4B, ANC 4A, and ANC 4C. And so if you see any big wasp nests, I'm reaching out to DOEE as well as DGS and DOH to make sure that we are trying to figure out what's going on, whether they're migrating over, to make sure that we don't get anybody stung and keep track of where they're all out. I know one is in Ward 3, but the majority has been in Ward 4, and we want to make sure that people are safe. In addition to that, because I know I'm almost out of time, so last week I did a big walk from the start of Ward 4, almost at Silver Spring on Georgia Ave, all the way down to Petworth, and cataloging I think I hit around like 500 311s. And one of the big ones that I noticed were some that I've done with commissioners, specifically Commissioner Palmer. And so I wanted to let you know that I had called up the directors to make sure that that crosswalk, I believe it's, where is it? I think I wrote this down. The 6500 block of Georgia Ave, of having the pavement fixed as well as that trash can. So I can make sure that there's all those 311s to try to put the pressure, because I know we did that walk, what, in January? So really wanting to make sure that gets done. And then additional, actually with Commissioner Palmer as well, I've been working with Sheldon to make sure that we have an MPD meeting with the 9th Street community about some of the violence and things happening in that area, as well as also involving the Humane Rescue Alliance due to some of the issues we're having with dogs in the area. I know I'm out of time, so I'm going to put my details in and then anything additional, but I definitely open the floor to any questions from commissioners as well.
Commissioner, does anyone have a question? Commissioner Palmer.
Yeah, just want to note real quickly that Sheldon is a 4B01 resident.
Oh, thank you.
But happy to hear about that meeting, and that ties to a question I have, which is that there were some public safety announcements recently, including related to the use of CCTV cameras. And ANC 4B a while back had sent a letter to MPD asking just some basic questions. This was led by Commissioner.
I'm going upstairs, Shadi. You come in? Shadi?
Somebody is not
Shadi?
muted.
Yeah, that's not on my end, but I'll keep going. Asking some basic questions about the functionality of the cameras, but also noting that at some point, I think when CCTV legislation first came out, there was supposed to be a long-term plan about camera use and yearly analysis of how effective they are at reducing crime. And I'm just wondering if someone can point us in that direction. And happy to send that by email, because that was a little more detailed than I anticipated.
Absolutely. And then in additional to that, something I wanted you guys to all know, with the new police chief, one thing that she's really pushing is having community walks in every ward every single week. And so this walk that's about to take place, and they're always open to the communities, especially to commissioners who want to point out things. It's going to be on the 4000 block of Georgia Ave, which is that Georgia Petworth metro station. I don't know where exactly which way they're going. To my knowledge, they are staying in Ward 4 and they're not going over to Ward 1. But even though it's not in technically any of your SMDs, I wanted to put that out there and keep you guys updated. Officers Lissine and Hamrick will be the ones, I believe it's Lissine's taking the charge of that. And so every week he should be reaching out to all of you, if not Chair Brooks, to make sure that you guys know where's the police officers community meetup, and then MPD chief, she's supposed to be dropping in on some of these meetings. I just don't know which ones, because it really depends what's going on in the city, if her attention is needed elsewhere for a incident happening.
Okay. Commissioner Colton. Excuse me.
Thank you. I'll be very quick. I've been trying to get some answers regarding new construction at 7409 9th Street. I haven't, and I've been trying for 3 weeks. I can contact you offline, but just want to give you a heads up that that's what it's about. And I've been CCing you on the email. So it's been bouncing back and forth because people have been on vacation. But again, it's been 3 weeks now. So I want to move on that. Thank you.
Absolutely, of course. And then with DOB, were you, I know originally it was with Jenna. Do you know if Dion has reached back out about that? Okay, I'll call.
He has not.
I'll Commissioner Colson might be too polite to tell people Dion doesn't respond. I've never received a response from Dion.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay.
Commissioner Johnson. Tiffany Johnson.
Yes, you had mentioned about the wasps, Ness. Is that just for DGS and
So,
DPR properties, or is that also for residential properties? The reason I ask is because we had two huge ones in my neighborhood. And we were told that the city does not handle that constituents had to pay for it out of pocket.
Was it on private property?
No,
Okay.
oh,
it was on a tree on the sidewalk that
do you know
was
who said
hanging
that?
over the middle of the street.
Yeah.
sorry?
Do you know who said that?
I can go back and look through my emails. It's
Yeah,
pretty
please
easy to
forward
find.
that to me. So to
It
my
was
knowledge,
someone within DPW. I do know that.
okay, maybe they just unfortunately weren't maybe aware. So originally when this started, it was at Petworth Playground. And so instantly that was DPR and then DGS. And then it moved on. I got a call about one on Madison Street, and that one was on the sidewalk. And then now we have another one on 9th Street and another one on 13th Street. And so, and then it keeps popping up in Petworth almost every other week. And so,
do you know if your commission, excuse me, I'm sorry, do you know if the resident completed a 311 request, Commissioner Johnson?
They did for both individuals, and I just wound up paying for it out of pocket.
oh no. Yeah, please forward that to me because I want to make sure that we're figuring out why. Because other than the ones at Petworth Playground, which there have been a lot of Petworth Playground, all the other ones have been like in the tree box, hanging over the road or hanging over the sidewalk.
Yeah,
I think only
that's what these were.
Yeah,
They were hanging over in the middle of the street, and rightfully so. We were very concerned that it would fall, and we have young kids.
Yeah,
In the
so
community.
To my knowledge, so I've been on the phone with DGS for a good chunk of last week and this week, and it was something where they are taking the lead on that with also support from DOH, because it can also, I mean, if someone's allergic to wasps or if they're African wasps, like that's a crisis. That's a very hazardous thing. So please forward those emails. From my understanding, DPW has not been the person to get in contact with about it. That's not what they do. And so maybe it was just why they said pay was because they weren't aware that wasn't in their jurisdiction.
Thank you. I'll definitely follow up with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Gilligan.
Hey, Sophia, just wanted to ask if you'd be able to provide the latest in terms of actions that the executive's taking with respect to OUC, given what's been in the news lately. If you could just give an update on that. I've seen some stuff in the media, but if you can provide any insight from your end, that'd be helpful. Thanks.
Specifically with all things OUC or regarding the flood?
Specifically with all things OUC and how any sort of improvement measures that the executive is planning with respect to OUC. I know that the ANC 4B, not myself, I wasn't involved, but has weighed in a lot over the years. And I just wanted to see if there's anything that you can speak to at this point in time.
There is nothing that I would be able to say that hasn't already been stated out there. I can definitely forward the statements released by OUC, and I can let the mayor know that people are asking for a more formal statement about everything that's been happening. I know that they have sent out a few, but as a reminder that from my understanding from your question, there's a bigger request for more conversation about everything for sure.
Yeah, because it's larger than just the most recent incident. So, Yep, thank you.
Of course.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, you have two more community questions. So
perfect.
Next we'll speak to Commissioner Parks. I hope we will. I don't see her promoting. While I'm figuring that out, Commissioner Jocelyn Johnson also had a question.
Hi,
Commissioner Johnson.
I just want to ask you to add to your WASP conversation as well as to Councilmember George, this issue about rabbits. I don't want to see this become an infestation and then all of a sudden it becomes big ticket. They're coming in
Commissioner
now.
Johnson, I'm not really sure what you want them to do about the rabbits. Rabbits have been here and they're.
I have never seen rabbit. I've never seen them.
Well,
really?
You need to come over on this side of the ward because they've been here and foxes are here and deer are here.
So are they like rats? Do they infest?
No, they're
with rats?
rabbits.
I've never seen it. So that's why I'm asking. That's good because I didn't know. And if we're seeing them, I don't want it to be like a rat thing, a mouse thing.
What is a rat? I don't understand the correlation.
I mean, if the infestation of, like the rat problem. I had no clue. I've never seen rabbits. So I beg to be educated because I had never seen it. Thank you.
You have to come to the park, ma'am. Come to the park.
So it's not something, if we get them in our houses or what happens?
If it helps, I will say, as someone who showed rabbits in 4-H, rabbits do not eat trash. They eat your plants. So
yeah,
but they don't eat trash.
And they're only going to come in if you invite them. They're very polite.
I'm real serious. I never seen them. I don't want them in the house. Okay, cool. So they're just like seeing I haven't seen deer or foxes around here either. So rabbits got my attention, and they're little. They're not big. They're not full scale. They're little baby rabbits. So this is new. I ain't never seen them, and I've been here since '62.
Come to Fort Slocum sometime.
Yeah.
We had a
No,
deer
but I mean
last
that's
Thursday
the
that
Fort
really liked
Slocum.
Chuck
That's
Brown.
not people's. That's not residential. So okay.
Oh, they
I'll
show
hold
up
that.
on your front lawn too. Don't worry.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
They're in the
I'll
yards
be
of
back.
4B01 as well.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, I was trying to promote Commissioner Dawson, but I don't seem to, she hasn't responded. So we'll try one more time.
I'm sorry. I'm here.
Okay, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. With the tree roots and with the walk on September the 9th, I have a big tree right here at the corner, and the roots is huge and they are beginning to grow. I have been growing in my yard, and I want to know, would they be able to tell me if they remove those roots because it's the district tree and not my tree, would they take the roots out of my yard?
So depending on what DDOT decides based on the health of the tree as well as what the roots are doing, something that they could happen would be a repavement of the sidewalk. It wouldn't necessarily be taking away the roots because that would weaken the tree and make the tree fall over. But it could very much be having DDOT Urban Forestry go out and do an investigation of the tree, the health of the tree, as well as what it is doing to the sidewalk, because we want to make sure the sidewalk is being accessible for everybody. Where is that tree located at?
Okay, it's at 8th and Peabody, right at the corner of 6001. And I'm not worried about the sidewalk. I'm worried about the tree roots in my yard because they have almost reached the house.
Okay. If you want, if you're comfortable with either saying your email here or I can say my email and phone number and you can reach out to me as well.
I would do that.
Perfect. I will send it in the chat right now.
And for Jocelyn, I do have rabbits. And I only live, what, 4 blocks from you?
Shay hasn't seen them over there either.
But I have baby rabbits.
All right.
Thank you
all very much. Okay, I think we have addressed all community concerns. I don't see any more hands.
Chair Brooks, I see one additional hand raised.
Okay,
Carol
I
Joyner.
do. She's being promoted.
Oh, hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to join the conversation. I am for BO1, and I just want to ask another kind of question, since everyone's, joining in about the rabbits and the other animals in our neighborhood. I also am, have just started seeing rabbits in the last year. And, I grow lots of plants. I have a big garden, and we didn't have this issue before. And I'm not saying that no one else did. Clearly, y'all, many of you on the call have. I'm concerned about just being overrun by rabbits and deer, especially. The deer population has, increased dramatically in our neighborhood. And I think it had something to do with, the building near the metro station and construction everywhere. I'm not really sure what it has to do with. But what I do believe is that that I'm wondering if there can be a conversation at least about management on some level, or do we just, wait until it's completely unmanageable or overrun? I know that at this point, I'm literally, and many of my neighbors are literally growing plants to feed the animals in the neighborhood. I'm wondering if anything has ever been done in the past, if this was ever a concern. I know years ago there was concern about the overpopulation of deer in the park. Things were done about that. I'm wondering if there's another kind of conversation other than, well, I have them and I've always had them, So hoping that, at least in the future, we could have another kind of conversation about how people are experiencing the overrun of animals.
Well, I'm happy to open the floor to the other commissioners. My 2 cents would be that this is actually not outside the purview. This is outside of the purview of the commission. I don't know what any of us can do about wildlife in the city. Is Sophia still available? I don't quite know.
Yes.
In all seriousness, I don't mean to sound disrespectful, because that's certainly not my intention. But we have squirrels, we have rabbits, we have, we have pigeons, we have everything. Like, what am I to do about any of it? I don't know that there's anything that I can do or that the commission can do to address animals.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
So when we look at rats, we definitely have the rat abatement team and different things like that. And the reason that rats are as gravitas as they are now is because rats live underground. And when you have gentrification and people are building up the ground, they're disturbing their homes, and then they come up and they're like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of food up here. Let me just live up here. And so that's why everything with rats is so intense. And a similar thing is when we have such beautiful forests in Ward 4, but when we're building more houses, we're taking away from, say, some of the woods where the deers might live and the foxes might live and different things like that. So yes, I don't want it to ever be like we're not bringing acknowledgement to the changes and that wildlife comes in. But another super amazing thing that Ward 4 has that nowhere else in DC has is our Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. And so over in Oglethorpe, right past the Humane Rescue Alliance, and I believe they would be the best people to come and talk about this situation, about different things to do, because when you have rats, there is a way to dispose of them and help eradicate how grandiose they have been lately that protects the squirrels and different things that are really helping our ecosystem. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to kill all the animals. Like, there's a reason that they are here and they are good, but we do want to make sure that they're staying in their wildlife and we're staying in our area. So I would definitely recommend, if this is a big conversation that our community is having, to bring in the people of the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center and ask for their advice, because I took one class in zoology and that was about it. They would know a lot more than me.
Commissioner Colson.
Hello again. I want to say thank you to my neighbor, Ms. Joyner, for joining the call. I know that deer are showing up everywhere. I may venture to say that it's a little more severe in 4B01 to the point where I sit in my car and wait for them to move. They eat everything. One left me a lovely surprise right outside of my doorstep the other day that I had to walk around. So we talked about this during the summer, also having park and services to come up, because I was told that many years ago there was some type of plan where we did humane hunting down in Rock Creek Park. So I'm not sure of the solutions, but I think it is a larger conversation. I know that we already had the agenda set a month in advance for this meeting. So it's something that I'll elevate during our planning meeting again, to have a larger conversation and have that on the agenda.
All right, thank you. All right, this will be the last comment. Rachel, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I'm sorry. I just want to really quickly say, just as a community member, that on the other side of the animal diversity, that from what I understand, the more diverse your wildlife, the greater your chances of reducing unwanted pests like ticks and other things, like foxes will eat the ticks. And so I think that when you have these conversations about sort of controlling wildlife, that we also realize that the better, the more healthy the ecosystem, there's a lot of other benefits that may not be directly obvious, but which sort of help the long-term health of not only us, but the ecosystem. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to end the conversation. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay, with that, we will move to Councilmember Louis George's office, and Jim Lewis is here to present. So we'll get that going.
Hey everyone, my name is Jim Lewis. Hey, Commissioner Brooks, thank you for having me on. I am subbing in for Miss Barbara Rogers today, and I'm happy to be here. I'm also happy to both say happy first day of school, and also I'm excited to see my my new ANC Commissioner, Derek, join the team. So
I think he froze. We'll give him a second to come back. And that'll give me time to clean up the panel list. All right, I'm re-promoting. Let's hope he's unfrozen.
okay,
There you go, you froze for a second.
I don't know what happened there. If my computer is my internet might be unstable a little bit. I apologize for that. I don't know where I was. I was just excited to see Commissioner Thompson here on his first meeting. He's my commissioner in 4B09. So congrats to them, to him. Quickly, so we have a lot of things going on in Ward 4. Obviously, we're still in the middle of the summer recess, but a lot of things are coming up in fall. We have our Ward 4 Care Days. This is our second annual Care Day period, where we go to different neighborhoods in Ward 4. We bring DC agency resources to the neighborhoods and invite commissioners and neighbors to come out, knock on doors, meet the council member, meet our team. The next few in 4B, we have our Riggs Park and South Manor Park Care Day on Tuesday, September 12th. That's a new date. We've changed the schedule a little bit. We have our Lamond Care Day on Wednesday, September 20th. And we have our Tacoma Care Day on Thursday, September 14th. And all of those are 4 to 7 p.m. So we bring a lot of resources, our teams there. It's a great time. We submit 301 requests. We talk to neighbors about block parties and how to do all different type of community events. And we look forward to seeing you there. I'll share all the links to all these things with Chair Brooks, and we'll share it in the chat. So also coming up, we have new legislation on conflict resolution education. Last month, the council member introduced new legislation with a majority council support to require conflict resolution to be taught at every public school in DC. There are effective models teaching age-appropriate conflict resolution that are already in place in select DC schools, like Teach Peace of Mind program at Lafayette. Conflict resolution skills help children better manage their emotions, peacefully de-escalate conflict, and reduce behavioral incidents in school, empowering them to thrive in the classroom and help make our schools and our community safer. And so we hope community members and commissioners will come out to testify at hearings this fall. On speaking of council hearings, speaking at testimony for DC Council, we now have a new, simpler, centralized system for signing up for testimony. Instead of having to look up each council committee's unique sign-up process, which was super confusing in the past, neighbors can just visit the online portal, which I will link as well in the chat. We have our newsletter that comes out every Friday. Please sign up for it. Again, I'll link that. It has a lot of great information, news going on in the ward, in each commissioner area. And also please visit our website. We have a lot of new updates and resources that we've added recently. But yeah, I'm sorry my internet was a little shaky, but
No problem.
I have actually some comments really quick on animals. I'm kind of like the point person in our office for reaching out to the different agencies in charge of animals. I mean, we're lucky that we have a diversity of animals in Ward 4, where we have Rock Creek Park in our ward. We have a lot of national park land stretching across Missouri Avenue, Fort Slocum, Fort Todd, and adjacent. So we're just going to have a lot of animals. And unfortunately, sometimes if you don't have a lot of predators, you have a lot of animals that will just have a lot of, so they have to do culls every year in Rock Creek Park. And a lot of the problem with controlling like a deer population is that we have a lot of intersecting national park federal land with DC, DGS, DPR land. And so it causes a lot of confusion and problems. Most of the time, animals can only be removed from the environment if they're visibly sick. That's my experience, just as my own experience. But there's a lot more we can do, I think. Any questions, concerns from the commissioners or the public?
Commissioner Palmer.
Yes, thank you, Jim. Just want to flag that one of the items on our agenda tonight relates to the District Department of Public Works and adequate collection from our public trash and recycling cans. I know that's an issue the office is working on, and we will of course send it to you, but flagging to you because it continues to be an issue.
Definitely. And I'm the point person in constituent services working on that issue, as you know.
All right. Commissioner Johnson, you are not going to have 1 minute on every presentation, I promise you. And if you start talking about foxes next, then I'm just going to shut it down. So I'm going to. Did she promote? Commissioner Johnson, are you there?
I got cut off.
Okay, there you go.
I heard Jim. I guess I never lowered my hand because I didn't have anything else. Because you made fun of my rabbits, but I'm
not making fun of your rabbits.
But that's okay because you know me, I will bring it back up because I don't want rabbits are an issue to me. I ain't never seen them before since 1962.
I just want to know why you bringing up rabbits and not squirrels.
Because I've seen squirrels all my life. I've never seen rabbits before. And I don't want to see them in my house. I've seen rats in my house. I've seen mice in my house.
I just don't understand. But you haven't seen squirrels in your house. You don't have birds in your house. I don't know why you're assuming you don't have rabbits in your house. That's all I'm saying.
I wasn't complaining about that, but I'm complaining. I have never seen rabbits. So I didn't want this to be a new thing.
Yeah, and just to be fair to everyone else, for those of you that don't know this, Commissioner Jocelyn Johnson was a commissioner with us for 2 years. And so we have a rapport that might be different than everyone else's. So please understand that we are all.
That's true. That's true. It's all good. But no. I know now that I know that Jim is the person, I will definitely contact Jim as well.
Oh,
but
of course.
All good. But no, I don't have any. I don't.
I'll talk to Peter Rabbit.
Okay.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Thank you, Jim.
I will look for his thing in the chat about the link to testify though.
All right.
It's there.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did anyone else have a question for Jim before I move on? Nope. All right, Jim, you're free to go. All right. Thank you very much. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
On the agenda will be, I don't see Mr. O'Leary. Did anybody see Mr. O'Leary? I didn't see him. So if you are here and on the phone, Mr. O'Leary, please let me know so that we can promote you. But with that, we'll move to the Housing Justice Committee update. Commissioner Palmer.
Yes, thank you, Chair Brooks. Just to give an update from the last couple of months since we recessed, the Housing Justice Committee held a tenant resource fair at the end of July in coordination with ANC 1A's Housing Justice and Zoning Committee. It was a very wonderful event full of many government agencies, service organizations, and community groups, sponsored by our Ward 4 council member, Councilmember Robert White, and Councilmember Brianne Nadeau. We had several panel discussions on tenant rights and ending homelessness, and a special thank you to our hosts, Emory Beacon of Light, which is a wonderful institution, and an affordable housing project itself. Just really great work by the committee. We had our last meeting at the beginning of August, which had a presentation on the proposed development at 6634 and 6640 Georgia Avenue, which we will also hear tonight. An additional presentation of several that the committee has heard on the proposal for 7050 Eastern Avenue, and a continued discussion about our plans for future meetings. This month's meeting will take place on Wednesday, September 6th. Starting at 7 p.m. and will be focused on supports and services for seniors. So we will have a representative from the DC Taxpayer Advocate, the Department of Aging and Community Living, and a representative from East Rock Creek Village to speak with us about that issue. And then we will also hear a presentation about proposed developments at 5505 First Street Northwest and 201 Kennedy Street Northwest. So very busy. Thank you for indulging that lengthy update.
All right. Next would be the Vision Zero Committee. We did not meet in the month of July or August. We were recessed for those 2 months, and we will reconvene on the third Wednesday in September. So with that, we can move on to our first presentation of the evening. It's Colin Thomas, the principal of Thomas Development, about 6634 and 6640 Georgia Avenue, and the proposed map amendment to rezone the property. There will be a 10-minute presentation and a 10-minute conversation, and I did not see his hand raised.
Chair Brooks, he's there here under a different name, Emily Hahn, H-A-H-N.
Which is why his hand is raised.
Yeah.
So I will promote him.
And he is likely here with a few other folks.
Okay, when he gets on, he can let me know who else to promote.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Good, thank you. Who else would you like to have promoted?
Chapman. Is Chapman on here? Can you, all the guys
Chapman?
on
Yes.
just raise their hand, please, quickly?
That's easy. I've promoted Chapman already. And no one raised their hands.
Tom is with you also, correct?
Yes.
Tom Kadita?
Yeah.
And I have a presentation I can share. Let's see. Can you see the agenda or can you see the presentation?
We see the presentation.
Okay,
All
excellent.
right, you've got 10 minutes.
All right, great. So this is our proposed project at 6634 to 6640 Georgia Avenue. Right now, we are seeking a map amendment to take it from RA2 to RA3, which would increase the density, not a terrible amount, but enough to make it a successful project. Here's a picture of the current building. So we hope you guys like our design and feel it's an improvement. We're pretty excited about how it looks, but here's sort of where it is. It's sort of across from the battleground there. one big thing that's come up has been relocation of the current tenants. There's a commercial tenant and there's I believe 9 residential tenants, or 8, I guess it seems like. So 4 of the current residential tenants chose to relocate and then return to the project, which we're excited about. We're excited to have them back. 4 wanted to move on and go somewhere else. But everybody had the option to come back, and we're excited that so many did, because sometimes people don't want to come back, but we are excited to have a nice project where people want to come back. In terms of the commercial tenant, we are working really hard with Talentos on a relocation to Walter Reed. We actually after Labor Day, we have a tour of the site with DCRA, LIF, and the Office of the it's the OSSE. It's an education group that helps with licensing for daycares. So we're going to tour the site. We already have sort of a design that an architect put together, and so the architect's going to go through, and we're going to make sure that we work out any kinks in the plan. But so far, so good. Urban Atlantic's been really helpful. So, wanted to say thank you to them for doing that. So I'm going to let Chapman start talking now that we get into more design specifics, because I know that they've been more engaged on that than I have. So I'm going to let Chapman start going through this now. Chapman.
Sorry, was on mute there. I think Tom's on as well. So the team that's been working on the development planning for this, which is with Tom Kadita and others, have been aiming for responding to the district's consolidated RFP for affordable housing. So that's driven a little bit of what the building design, particularly on the internal side, which is what this slide is about, is trying to respond to. It's been increasingly important for affordable housing projects, particularly those that are using district financing, to have an emphasis on the amenities inside the building, meaning that there's common area space, that there's room for fitness equipment, computer room, and building-wide Wi-Fi access. So that's been incorporated into the design of the newly configured building. Also a focus on resident services, meaning that there are not only services available for the number that will be permanent supportive housing, but just general resident services to support people in connection with community engagements, public benefits, to have some staff person that is able to focus in on that. And then we wanted to emphasize how important the green requirements are, particularly through the DHCD funding with the Enterprise Green Communities, which is a kind of parallel. Many people are familiar with LEED. Enterprise Green Communities has been the standard that the district finance projects have pursued, and there is an increasing emphasis on making sure that one, the building is very efficient in terms of environmental standards, and then in this particular round, including in solar. So with that, there are included here some basic floor plans, which I think Tom can weigh in, or others could. That's still being defined a little bit, but Colin, I think, is flipping through the floor plans there for the second and third floors, where the residential are, and then the ground floor there where some more of the community space is. It's a mix of bedroom sizes, which we'll see when we get down to the unit mix. So I guess, Colin, if you can hang on that slide for a minute. The current design on the building is for 54 units and a mix of 1s, 2s, and 3 bedrooms there. The target will be 50% of the area median income and below, which is what the DHCD Housing Production Trust Fund money and the tax credits are emphasizing, and have for a number of cycles, but particularly with this round. I know the development team group was together with the Housing Justice Committee group about 2 or 3 weeks ago and had referenced that the district's funding mechanism very much changed this cycle in 2023. And so the unit mix and the configuration and some of the design has responded to the district's priorities in the current trust fund consolidated RFP. So currently on this model, as you'll see, the group has been looking at doing 30% of the units or 11 of them as permanent supportive housing, and then the remaining at 50% AMI for the total of 54. Colin, I think we were after that, but you have the timeline. So the district's RFP is due the first week of October, and the city's commitment has been to make decisions before the end of the calendar year. If that were the case, which we think it will be this time, often these deadlines have been a little fuzzy for a variety of reasons. We think that these deadlines this year will be met, so that if this project was selected for funding through the RFP, the announcements would be before the end of the year. That would lead, given the amount of time that it takes to get from an announcement to the financial closing, roughly the construction start would be early 2025, and then construction end hopefully early 2027. I think that is what we had to show there. For a quick run through, hopefully that was done within 10 minutes, but to share with you what the plans were once this can get defined in the RFP and hopefully chosen and then ready to go.
Well, you were absolutely done in 10 minutes or less. So for that, I am greatly appreciative. And it looks like Commissioner Palmer has a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide a little bit more context from the ANC perspective. First, to note that this property is on the west side of Georgia Avenue. So it is within Advisory Neighborhood Commission 4A, which has weighed in support of this map amendment. We are an affected commission since our boundary is Georgia Avenue. And Colin came to a Housing Justice Committee meeting in January to present a preliminary proposal, and then came back earlier this month in August, and they are here today. The main neighborhood level issue has been assuring that the daycare that's on site has clear communications about the timeline, and is being assisted to every extent possible in relocation, as Colin noted, potentially to the Walter Reed site. And I just want to say I really appreciated seeing the affordability breakdown. I am very heartened to see permanent supportive housing, particularly 3-bedroom units and supports and services on site. That part looks excellent, and thank you for sharing those details.
All right, thank you very much. Does anyone else have a question? Would you mind ending the share on your screen? It makes it a little bit harder for me to navigate. Commissioner Tiffany Johnson.
No problem. I just wanted to know, out of the affordable units, how many are wheelchair accessible?
So the design is still underway. The RFP requires 5% are fully accessible, meaning that there are UFAS units. I don't know from the design team perspective. Often projects that we've worked on will double that, so that would mean that there would be either 5 or 6 that would be the UFAS units. Again, it's still, I mean, Tom, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that, but the design is still coming into focus with the architect here. So, but
and just also to add to that, what would be the breakdown of the unit sizes for accessibility?
Sorry, I saw Tom potentially.
Yes. Thank you, Chairman. To answer your question, Commissioner, the unit square footage breakdown, they're going to average somewhere around 850 square feet, an average. So some will be the 3 bedrooms. Obviously, would be somewhere around like 1,200 square feet. And the one bedrooms are going to be somewhere around mid six to high 600s. So the average is about 850 across the board in terms of the square footage, but they're very nicely sized. We originally planned to put 84 units on the site before the RFP came out. And the priority for the mayor was to do a smaller project, but bigger family size units. So we've reduced the 84 counts to 54 count that allowed for the units to be a lot more bigger and a family size type of units.
But out of those family size units, I understand that how many of each sized unit are going to be UFAS? So one UFAS for 1 bedrooms, 1 for 2, 1 for 3, like what is the breakdown? If you know, if you don't know, then just say that.
I think we'll have to get back to you.
We'll get back to you because the plan is still kind of going through making sure those things are fleshed out, but I would not know the answer to that right now.
Yeah, if you send us out an email, we can get that to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you. And I don't see any other hands raised. Let me see if there's a question in the Q&A. No, that's something else. Okay. I think we're good to go.
All
Thank
right,
you, Commissioner. Thank you so very much.
You're very
Thank you,
welcome. Have a
guys.
great evening.
You too.
Okay. Okay. Colin, I don't know who has the screen share up, but I need you to take.
Yeah,
it
sorry,
down so you
I've
can
been
see
trying
it.
to unshare it, but I can't quite figure it out. I'll just here.
There we go. Thank you very much. Okay, next, we're going to have a presentation from Rod Montz, Director of State Policy, Schoolhouse Connection, Student Homelessness and Opportunities for Support. No.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing this evening?
Great. The floor is yours.
All right. I have a brief presentation. I am not going to read all these slides verbatim, and I hope not to go over my time as well. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Schoolhouse and then talk about the ways in which we work with school officials to address issues impacting youth experiencing homelessness. For those of you who don't know, Schoolhouse Connection is a national nonprofit. We're based in DC. We're nonpartisan, national in scope. We work to provide advocacy and technical assistance in partnership with legislators, schools, early childhood programs, colleges and universities, and families and youth with lived experience. I encourage you all to visit our website where we have a wealth of information on youth homelessness related issues and education issues and other resources, including a lot of input from our McKinney-Vento homeless liaisons across the country. We also have a newsletter I encourage you all to sign up for. We do both federal and state policy work. I oversee our state policy work, but we also work at the federal level to address youth and young adult homelessness issues. That Q&A I mentioned here in the slide is a reference to all that feedback we get from McKinney-Vento liaisons who are working through challenges they face dealing with the problems that arise in their own school districts. For those of you who don't know, as a result of the federal McKinney-Vento Act, every school district is required to make sure there's a homeless liaison identified in schools to help youth experiencing homelessness. We work on state policy because those are the best levers to address a lot of the issues that impact youth experiencing homelessness most severely, including early childhood education-related policy, child welfare laws, minor consent to things like housing, shelter, banking services, and so forth, as well as physical and mental health care. Access to a lot of vital documents, which is a huge barrier I'll talk more about later, and funding for programs, including employment and job training programs. Schoolhouses work to address these issues through legislation and state regulations in over 20 states so far. Schoolhouse is about 7 years old. Our staff's kind of, I think we have doubled in size actually in the 2 years I've been here. So we have grown and we've gotten quite a bit done in collaboration with educators, legislators, and those other stakeholders I mentioned before. We are currently working on bills in a handful of other states here that have not yet been shaded, including one in Arkansas we passed earlier this year. So we're steadily making progress, thanks to great partners. When it comes to working in school districts, our primary connections tend to be our McKinney-Vento liaisons, because they are closest to the problem, right? They are the ones who are responsible for identifying students experiencing homelessness and then connecting them to the resources they and their families need to address the conditions that put them in the situation in the first place. So we support our liaisons by providing them practical assistance, creating tools and providing them resources to better support students and to help them if they are interested in becoming active in advocacy. And we also provide a wealth of professional development opportunities, primarily through webinars, but we also do a lot in person. In turn, we rely on our liaisons to help us by being those advocates for students. That includes internal things like training and building awareness in their districts, identifying those key community partners that they can connect youth and their families to. They are a treasure trove of data when we're looking to get more insight on what's going on in districts to help inform the policy work that we do. And we also have connections to each of the state coordinators, and we try to make sure that the coordinators and the liaisons are collaborating effectively and kind of work hand in hand with them on an ongoing basis to ensure it happens. So we work on a lot of issues, right? But we identify certain ones because they tend to be more prominent and more common across districts. Early childhood education and care, as you all probably know, is an area where we could always use more resources. So we work on policies in various states to make sure more youth are getting access to early childhood, including through things like state-funded programs that support vouchers to make sure that families who are low income have that ability to pay for care if they can't get it elsewhere. We're working on a bill in collaboration with some of our partners right now in Massachusetts, as a matter of fact, on that. There are a lot of different ways in which you can help students who are experiencing homelessness address those impediments to graduation, whether it's making sure they have access to the support they need in the classroom and out of the classroom. So we worked on things like partial credits and addressing disciplinary issues that push students out of school. California right now, as a matter of fact, has about 4 bills related to graduation to some extent or another that we have been supporting our partners on in 2023. Increasing access to vital documents is a really popular policy reform strategy because that is in many cases the biggest obstacle to addressing a youth's homelessness. If you can't prove who you are because you have nowhere to live or you have no way to figure out how to navigate systems to get a birth certificate, to then get a driver's license or a learner's permit or a state ID, you're going to have difficulty accessing a lot of those basic supports you need to address your homelessness or to get employment. So we've seen a lot of interest pick up in addressing vital documents related issues, and that goes across political lines. So we've actually been involved in bills in both progressive and conservative states over the last few years, including bills that passed in Arkansas and Alabama and Florida. And when it comes to accessing care, particularly for those unaccompanied homeless youth, those who are without the care of a parent or guardian, addressing those issues that require the consent of an adult is major, especially when it comes to housing and emergency shelter and medical care and treatment. We are currently working on bills in, I believe, 4 states to improve access to housing or medical care. And we actually worked on a bill to provide minor consent to housing that passed in Virginia last year, which is in your neck of the woods, obviously. And then when it comes to meeting basic needs, that takes on a lot of different forms, whether it's increasing access to things like food, things like income, for example, as well as clothing, transportation, and support for those youth families who are struggling as well. And we've seen states do some very innovative things, including just recently in Maine, for example, where they funded a pilot program that would provide liaisons the ability to help families directly if they're struggling with emergency housing issues, like, their heater goes out, or there's a flood in the basement, or, something emergency related that could impact that family's ability to stay housed. They are able to address that directly to help avoid homelessness, which is important, because once you fall into that cycle, it's really hard to escape. So I figured I'd ask a few questions, but I'm sure that you all may have some yourself, and I wanted to be respectful of the time. But typically when we begin to talk about issues that are impacting youth experiencing homelessness, some of them resonate with the folks that we are talking to, and they identify, one or more issues that they're interested in addressing. And that is frequently a way in which we start those conversations about ways in which we might help them begin to address the policy reform issues they're involved in. So a few things are key. Did any of those issues resonate with you, and are you particularly interested in, at some point, having a discussion about what we might do more of? And that's something you can chew on. I don't necessarily need an answer right now. More importantly, I always ask the question about whether the McKinney-Vento liaison or liaisons in your community, because if you are interested in being able to connect youth experiencing homelessness to the support they need, that is a very good place to start, because those people, as I said before, are closest to the issue, but they are also, in many cases, the best connected people when it comes to identifying resources that will support youth and their families. And then the last question, if you are interested,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you had.
No, I was just going to say, if you are interested at some point in exploring any of these issues further, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
All right. I will cut and paste this. I'll try to anyway, email and put it into the chat for people that might have questions. Do commissioners have questions? Commissioner Palmer.
Yes, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to be here tonight. And I think as people who work with school communities, it would be great to be connected to the McKinney-Vento liaisons. And that's not something that I personally have. So thank you for asking that question and opening that door. And I'm hopeful that you can connect all of us to the relevant people.
Happy to make the connections that I can.
Commissioner Colson.
Yes, I wanted to say thank you as well for joining us. As a staff member of school, I recognize that the homeless liaisons have a difficult job, which is why I think it's important for you to be here to share this information with the community as well. We've noticed in the school that identifying students who are experiencing homelessness has always been difficult, but it's even more difficult now during or post-pandemic, if you will. So considering today is the first day of school here in DC for public schools, I think it's very appropriate that you're here. And thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. Given that it's the start of school, I thought it was important to take advantage of this opportunity. Forgive me for talking so quickly. I wanted to make sure I got through in my time. And I also want you all to know, and I'm sure some of you do, in many cases, youth and families who are experiencing homeless don't want people to know that they are experiencing homelessness for a variety of reasons, right? Many of them are related to not trusting the system. So it's important to know that. And it's also important to know that there are people who are homeless who don't know that they're homeless because they may find a place to rest their head at night. Or they may be living in a place that they shouldn't be living in. It's not really fit for human habitation, right? But that's the best that they can do. So the more that we can do to get people interested in the issue and get people educated in an effort to help us begin to address some of these policy reform issues, the better. Because a lot of those people who are unaware of what youth homelessness looks like are the elected officials who have the power to change things. So we really rely on activists like yourselves to get involved in the advocacy work needed to change policy.
Again, thank you for coming. It's greatly appreciated. If anyone has a question or comment, they can add it to the chat. We will move on to our next presentation, which is Julio Valdez, JVS Project Space, Tacoma Taking Flight Mural Project Proposal at Tacoma Elementary School. Commissioner Palmer, while I'm promoting him, is there anything you want to add?
Yes, let me just intro this briefly. Julio is the artist who is working on a mural proposal, Tacoma Taking Flight, which is designed for the area, some of the walls at and around Tacoma Elementary School. And he can talk about that mural in more detail, but what I love about this project is that it ties to the ground mural installations that were recently installed around 6th, Cedar and Piney Branch. So it's a really integrated design that is infused with a lot of student feedback and flavor. And I think it's a lovely proposal, and based on my engagement, it's supported by the community, and I can't wait to hear more about it.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me with you today. I really appreciate Commissioner Palmer for your support and the invitation to be here. This is one of the requirements from this community project that I applied to the Commission on the Arts and Humanities and the CPS for this project. Let me see, how do I share? Okay, share screen. I wanna share this. How do I, is this one? What is this?
You should just, after you click share screen, it should give you the option to pick your document and then double click on it, and we'll be able to see it.
I don't.
So right now I see your Zoom screen. It says the screen, the
Okay.
Chrome option that said Zoom is what we can see right now.
And I think if you pull up, if it's one of those tabs, you can.
Yeah, just switch the tab.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. Let me.
Just make sure you don't pull up something you don't want people to see. That's
exactly.
Well,
that we don't want to see.
What I have is I had like a PDF. I think I sent it to you, Ms. Palmer.
I may be able to bring it
Let
up.
me see. have it here, but I mean, I've done it before. I just can't seem to.
I think the option next to the LinkedIn tab is a PDF, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think I have it if this is, hang on, let me try.
Okay. All right, let me, where is all this stuff?
Allison, can you make it so that I can try sharing screen?
You should just be able to share.
I don't have.
Nah, that's.
Oh, I can't do it well. I can't do it well.
Yeah, he needs to cancel his share. It's not that I need to give you permission.
Okay.
So if you try to share, it will cancel his share. And
No, it just won't let me do it.
Oh, wow. Hold on.
Well, I don't know. It's usually comes
Send me
right
the document.
Julio, if you try, yeah, okay, I'll send it to you. Or if you try shutting it out, I can do it.
Shutting now what? Like the
Stop your share. Stop sharing
Oh, the
altogether.
screen share? Okay. Let me see. Where is that?
Oh my gosh, now I'm having problems.
Oh, share. Okay. I'll close it.
Yep.
Hang on.
Is that good? Is that close?
Nope, I'm just gonna take over the meeting and then I'll stop my share and then you'll be able to share.
Or I can just send it to you, Chair Brooks. You tell me your preference.
It doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't matter to me either.
So try to share really quickly. It's getting late.
I have it like right here. And when I went to
And if you
share,
can't, just send it to me and there you go. Now you can share.
Julio, this is it, correct?
Is that mine? Is that from your from my screen?
Is this the right document?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Okay. All right, go ahead and I'll flip through it as you're talking.
I hope you had the final one. Yeah. Okay, so basically, as Commissioner Palmer said, I recently, I don't know if some of you have seen the project that we did on the ground in the triangle across the Tacoma Elementary School. That was through a different program called Color the Core with the Department of Transportation. And so Principal Clayton and Miss Carey, the art teacher, I work directly with the children. All those figures that you see there are related to the school theme, the Tacoma Taking Flight. And so I spent, there was a student engagement and we worked with like 4 different classes, 4th graders. And then I took all the artwork to my studio. And then based on that and many elements that were common, we came up with this design, my team and I, with these designs to continue what we already started with the project, with the Color the Core project, because the school has so many. Exactly. If you go to that page, that's good. The school, we keep looking at that gray wall, which as you all can see is not very appealing. And it doesn't really tell about much about what's happening there. I think the school is such a vibrant, wonderful, diverse community. And we wanted to bring that excitement that we have in the street to a little bit more secure environment of the school. And so Principal Clayton is very excited about this. We have all the support of the community. And actually look at this, look at how boring that entrance is, the top picture there with all the benches and all that. So Ms. Palmer, I guess if you have it, you can share with everybody the PDF. That'll be great. This wall, which if you have the kids in school, you see when you by the entrance, by the main entrance, when you see that, I think that's the back of the gym. Yeah, the back of the gym. And this is what we're looking at, this empty wall there, all these massive bricks. So the bottom image is what we're proposing. And we also working with the youth orchestra, the director. We're still fine-tuning some of the images, but basically this is what it was proposed to the commission. And then the final requirement is to make sure we had the presentation to the full board. In this element here, and for this mural, for this area, it will integrate more of the music theme, and we're still going to make a few changes in terms of the instruments and things like that. But we were like with the deadline, which it happens already over a month ago, we needed to propose these. But it's pretty close to what we're looking for in the final design. It's been such a great. I started doing public art because of the pandemic, because we couldn't be doing things inside in the galleries and in museums and things like that. And I just love working directly in the community. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna bore you with with describing what it is. It's all written in the very succinct proposal that we put together. It's just a few pages. There's not a lot of text. It's mostly the images and the description of the experiences and what we're doing with the kids. I'm having a great time working, and it's one of my it's been one of my lifelong dreams as an artist, as a full-time artist, is bringing my work directly to where people live and work and enjoy. And I have a lot of experience working with children through the Studio in School program in New York City. And I'm glad to put that in practice in my beloved Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Commissioner Palmer, excuse me.
Yes.
I believe you have a letter that you want to.
Yes, and just one quick note, which is that in case it wasn't clear, the music themes are in part because Tacoma Elementary School is the home to the DC Youth Orchestra program. So there is a strong arts music integration in the school. And yes, I am proposing, I'd like to move a letter in support of the mural, which has been circulated to commissioners and published on the website in draft form.
Okay, is there a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's everyone. You need the hands to go back up?
No, just counting how many people it is for my.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much, Mr. Valdez. I'm going to.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mrs. Brooks.
You're very welcome.
And everybody.
Very welcome. Okay, with that, we will move on to the consent calendar. There are 3 items for consideration. All 3 items have been posted on the website and were available for review in advance of the meeting, in addition to commissioners receiving them directly. So the first is Resolution 4B 230801, calling for additional hardening of protected bike lanes on Piney Branch Road due to repeated damage. Commissioner Palmer, Yates, and Brooks. There's Resolution 4B 230802, calling for the District Department of Public Works to conduct more regular collection of public trash and recycling cans for greater transparency regarding locations of cans and frequency of collection. Commissioner Palmer, Brooks, Yates, and Gilligan. And then Resolution 4B 230803, requesting the applicant engagement with Advisory Neighborhood Commission 4B in highlighting stormwater mitigation needs for 6817 5th Street Northwest, HPA 23364, and 6819 5th Street Northwest, HPA 23365. Commissioner Palmer and Yates. Is there a motion to move the consent calendar as presented?
I move to present to approve, excuse me, as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Colson. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. I believe that's everyone. If I'm wrong, correct me now. Okay, that was everyone. All right, well, with that, we have completed the meeting. I'd like to thank everyone for attending, and I will adjourn the meeting.
Allison,
Yes,
just a reminder that next month it's on a Tuesday, not a Monday. Might want to just a
okay.
minute while folks
The
are.
next regular publicly scheduled meeting is Tuesday, September 26th at 7 p.m. And actually, I have an announcement that I didn't make during S&D updates. And that is that the commission is going to host an art competition for students inside of 4B. We are going to use the awarded art in our annual report this year. And more information about that will be coming out to commissioners as well as to the schools inside of the commission boundaries. So residents of 4B as well as students of schools in 4B are able to participate in the competition. We'll have categories for 3rd through 5th grade, 6th through 8th, and 9th through 12th. We will begin accepting submissions now. We will have a judge who is a professional artist and a resident of 4B09. And I think I take that back. She might be 4B10. Commissioner Thompson, I apologize with the redistricting. She's 4B10, who will judge the art and make the decisions for 1st, 2nd, 3rd place, as well as honorable mention as appropriate. And we are working on soliciting prizes from the community. Did I leave out anything? I don't think so. Now I can adjourn the meeting. All right, everybody have a wonderful evening. What's left of it. All right, good night.
Good night.
Night.